I want to ask you something, because as I started to read Poems and Prayers, you sort of confront a lot of my previous rebuttals to faith, which I imagine a lot of young people have, which is around like the science of it.
Yeah.
Like what about the science? What about proof and evidence?
Yeah.
And you confront this head on. And how do you think about that? Because you're someone that understands the science and the studies and all those kinds of things. But
I think science is the practical pursuit of God. And like we're talking about perfection, it ain't ever gonna get there. But bravo for it. I believe God loves a scientist. I believe he does. Going, thank you. Again, like hands on the wheel. Thank you for being agnostic and going, you can only believe in your science. Thank you. You're churning your way towards me. I'm not gonna get here, but thank you for that pursuit, that independence, to bring up the word again. I don't know. That's the point. I can't not conclude. Those are nouns. Belief is a verb. Faith is a verb. In God or any of those other things that we were talking about, our better selves, each other. Those are, a scientist doesn't necessarily doubt. A scientist just says, I can't believe in something that until it's proven. And if it's unproven, my craft says I cannot believe. I believe that's what a scientist looks at it. So I cannot believe in, or maybe it's I must doubt that which cannot be proven. I understand that. That does not, again, contradict a scientist, or if that's your vocation, if that is your philosophy and your life creed of how you behave and believe, that does not contradict belief in God, even though you can't conclude that God exists. I know plenty of scientists that are also believers. I don't know. You know, it's. I got a poem in here, and this is not a lowest common denominator, but also just another practical way of thinking about it. If you're like, man, I'm not for it. Let's just go practical for a second. Heaven or not, all right? Tomorrow is not today's measurement when the misery is bad enough. To the suffering, consideration is a privilege. And that's part of what faith and religion are for. To help those in misery hang on to a hope that will most likely not be served them in this life. To sell them belief and faith that they will be served in the next. And what if there's nothing there, man? What if there's nothing to hope for? No next. I don't know. Either way, in misery, here, or without a heaven there, not having any hope or faith in anything is a certain way to remain where you are forever. But if you can find something that can keep you going, something, no matter how small, to look forward to and continually have faith in and chase, well, then your life here will be better than it is now, heaven or not. It's not an argument for faith. It is saying, though, what I think is true, what I believe is true, is that to pursue that divinity, even if you don't believe in the author, it's not anonymous. But if you say, no, when you say that's God, I don't believe in that author, fine, okay. Find principles and ways of living and approaching life, yourself, others, your neighbor and self. Call them ethics, whatever, morals, whatever you want to call them, paradigms and sort of law markers out there. That's kind of helps in this life. Now. Gets you out of the rut.
That's what the science and the studies show, that people that do have a faith are happier, healthier. And people can argue as to why that is, you know.
Hey, that's what I try to be clear in this, that I'm not trying to convert people to go, no, you should believe in God. Blah, blah, blah. There's plenty enough to go. I get it with religion that excludes a certain amount of people that I cannot go there. I cannot go I cannot purchase the belief that some people of faith have, which is, well, if you don't believe Jesus is the only Son of God, and that's it, then you're going to hell. I got too many friends, a lot of them over there in Mali and around the whole world. I'm like going, I can't go as far to believe that they're all going to hell, if there even is one. But it's when religion has become exclusionary along the way that let's remember, we bastardized it. You know where religion comes from, the word? You know, I love, like I talked about sin earlier, to miss the mark. Religion is from the Latin root religare. Ligare means to bind together. Re means again. Religion is about restoration. Got a bunch of spiritual friends who say they're not religious, and know what they're telling me is they want unity. That's what religion means. We bastardized it along the way. We made it a business. I don't believe that the original creators of religion and Muhammad and Jesus and God are going, yeah, that's fine. No, there's even stories in the Bible about going, no, that ain't fine. But so we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I just pose the question to us to say, maybe it's not religion we're mad at. Maybe we need to restore what that means. Restore its original meaning and live that way instead of just accepting what it's become in so many places, in so many ways. Poems and Prayers comes to me because I started getting a little cynical myself. I started to, default, objectify, found myself objectifying people, kind of looking down my nose at them, on hello, thinking, they're probably not going to make the cut at what they do, without any reason to be thinking that way. I started looking, listening to the news and leadership, and I'm going, wait a minute now. So we're saying if success is the key, if success is the measurement, and you can get it by lying, cheating, and stealing, and still be rewarded the gold medal, that's what's happening. Are we ready to say that's okay? Are we ready to say that's just how it is? We have leaders in positions now that are saying, yeah, just win. Well, just win, just succeed. But yeah, I don't care how you get there, but you did it. Congratulations, come to the front of the line. So what are the ethics? I don't know, what'd the winner do? Well, but wait, what about rules? Oh yeah, by the way, the rules, if you follow them, you're a sucker. I started to find myself going, oh, wait a minute. I'm not ready to say. That's just how it is. I'm not ready to wave that white flag. Are we ready to wave that white flag and go, we can see that's what it is, because there's many reasons to do so. And so I'm looking around at people and going, I'm not finding people to believe in, and I'm finding it harder to believe myself.
One of the things that I learned through your writing in Poems and Prayers, but also in Greenlights, is that although those people might get to the front of the queue and be awarded the medal that you're awarded, or the queue that you get to the front of, might not actually give you what you want. And you start by sort of reframing success, which I think is a really important thing, especially for a young generation, especially for men who are, the first to want to get to the top of the pyramid in certain pursuits in life. And actually, from thinking about what your goal was of being a father and how that's a lost pursuit, if you look at, the amount of people that are having children, and I think that's a big question. And actually, that's what your writing does for me. It really confronts me in a way to go, okay, you can get to the top of the pile, or you can get the gold medal, but be careful what that medal represents, and a medal in what.
Right. And what relevant for what? We all want to be relevant. Okay, like relevant for what? We want to succeed, but when we succeed, do we act? Is it worth it if we don't profit?
Yeah, you said, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If more, we're trained to go, the quantity is the goal. That's it. Well, and if that's sacrificing quality, or value, what we actually value, what are you really winning? You're winning one of the mortal games, And mind you, I also think it's worth talking about, and I don't know the answers, is I'm sitting over here in a privileged place to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Someone's in misery. You want to talk to them about projecting and sacrificing today so you can have more tomorrow? Those people are looking at you going, I'm trying to pay my rent, but food on the table, bro. Lucky you, Matthew, you get to talk about that. I'm not saying that I'm changing my mind, but I am conscious, and I still have more to learn from talking with people that are going like, man, I don't have the luxury to think about tomorrow.
The other thing that is particularly front of mind for me and has been for about 3 to 6 months now is just this idea of independence, which has increasingly been sold to people, whether it's be your own boss, more people are lonely than ever before, less people are choosing to have families than ever before. This idea of independence might have failed us. And like all of my friends that are most happy have the most dependence. And my friends that are struggling now, are in therapy, are having what I would describe as an existential crisis, have the most independence. No one depends upon them and they depend upon no one. And the other sort of adjacent idea to this is, I'm writing this book at the moment called I Can't Find God, which is kind of a reflection of my own religious curiosity, that maybe we do need to ladder up to something. So me, my family, my community, maybe the planet, then something transcendent, something higher.
Yeah.
And people that don't ladder up seem to be lost.
Yeah. If you go from who we are and make the North Star God, or the proclivity to imitate and be more divine, those things happen naturally through the humility, through the courage, through the sort of peace of mind, wrong or right, that, oh, this isn't all there is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play the immortal game. So therefore, risks are much easier to take. You're much more courageous down here because you're like, I'm not looking forward to dying, but I ain't that afraid of it. That's a very life-affirming feeling to have, where I think selfishness and selflessness are in bed together in that place, or humility and confidence are hooking up. They're not this, they're not even this. I think they're that, when the idea of God, or God literally, or that pursuit of just being our more sacred and divine selves, well, there's a lot of power, I think, that comes.
When your children come to you, Matthew, and ask you, they say, Dad, I want to be a success in my life, defined in whatever way I define it. You've been able to climb to the very top of the mountain that you aim to climb in terms of your professional achievements. Is there anything transferable? You talked about hard work earlier, that people might miss when they see such a remarkable career. Because I look at your career journey on paper and I go, you did it, but then you did it again and again and again and again and again and again and again at the very, very highest level. And I'm like, was this natural talent? Were you given something in your DNA? And I know it's hard to sometimes sort of self-analyze, but what is it? What is that?
So I think that, and what I do try to say, some version of this to my kids when we talk about their futures is, look, and I talk to a lot of young people about this. Start with, what do you have an innate ability to? What's in your DNA? I wanted to play basketball for years. I wanted to dunk. It ain't in my DNA, bro. I'm never going to dunk. No matter how hard I worked at it, I was never going to dunk. That's what I wanted to do. So look at, what do you have an innate ability for? I wanted to be Washington Redskin running back. No, too slow and not powerful enough. Well, I didn't have the innate ability. So what do you have the innate ability for? And then what then are you willing to pursue an education for, work for, hustle for, that for which you have an innate ability for? And if we're going to talk about making a living, is that which you have an innate ability for and now have educated yourself, your talent, to have a talent for, is that, and how can that be, something that the world demands? Because it's supply and demand. Boy, if you can end up doing something you got an innate ability for, plus you become really good at it, and you learn the craft, and the world demands it, and you can supply it, there you go. But we don't always, some of us have innate ability, but we don't work for it. We don't improve our skills. We kind of rely on what we got, and it kind of become middle of the field, and Sometimes I don't have the ability for it, but I'm going to learn a new craft and I'm going to hustle at it. And then actually, when we get good at something, we kind of can start to go, oh, I didn't know I loved it. I didn't like this anymore, but I like it now. It starts to feel good to do over and over.
And you aimed at becoming it says it in here. It says, win an Oscar for Best Actor, et cetera, et cetera. You accomplish so many of these goals that you had, and then there comes this point in your life where you seem to step back from being this rom-com star, and it's almost as if a dream you once had failed you, and you reorientate yourself once again to something of more substance.
So the decision to maybe to answer a little more of the last question, when something's not feeling like I'm completely in the pocket on it, getting it on the screws, and also maybe I am, but it's not translating. We talked about earlier, art that translates and you hear the same thing back. You're like, that's it. That's the communication of good art. Maybe I'm feeling like I'm busting my tail at something, but I put it out there and it just goes, I don't know. Sometimes it's bad timing. Sometimes just I was chasing up the wrong tree there. At least maybe I chased it for me, but no one else gave a damn. That can happen. I've been fortunate to, if something's not sitting well in my soul, even if I'm pulling it off and I'm like, dude, you're the rom-com guy. You're the go-to guy, man. You're number one on the call sheet. You took the baton from Hugh Grant and ran. You love doing. They're fun. Geez, they pay great too. I can line them up. I was getting quantity, but I wasn't getting the quality. I was like going, kind of feel like I could do it tomorrow. And I was like, oh, nothing wrong with that. You've worked to get to that point to where you feel like you could do it tomorrow. I was like, yeah, but I don't. I need some resistance. I want to find something that scares me. Mind you, at that time, I've fallen in love with Camilla and she's pregnant with our first child. What's the thing I always wanted to be in life? Father. So my life is like, oh yeah. The roof is raised and the basement is lowered and the width is wider, man. I'm feeling more, crying more, laughing louder, feeling more pain, all of it. My emotions life is vital. And I said, okay, what I want to do is dramas, but Hollywood won't offer me no matter how big of a pay cut I take. So I said, all right, if I can't do what I want to do, I'm going to quit doing what I've been doing. So chose to, boom, go to the ranch in Texas. Camilla's pregnant. Told my agent, no more rom-coms, Don't know how long that's going to last. Made that decision with Camilla, and we said, look, I'm going to make this decision. There's no telling how long we're going to go with that work. But if we're making the decision, like Australia, it's non-negotiable. We're not going back on it.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.